21 myths and misconceptions about visiting Las Vegas. I'm Chris. This is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, entertaining, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about some things that people believe about Las Vegas because they saw it on TV, they watched a movie about Las Vegas, they read something, and then they got there and realized it wasn't true. And why are there 21? Well, because 21 is blackjack. By the way, this is being recorded as a live stream. If you're on the live stream, I look forward to hanging out with you, hearing what you think. If you're watching the archive and I missed something, let me know, or let me know if you thought one of these myths was true, or if you're like, Chris, this is crazy. How could anybody believe one of these things on your list? Well, the first myth that I want to share with you guys is that many people think that people only come to Las Vegas to gamble, that Las Vegas is a gambling town and nothing else. And so actually today, casinos make 37% of their revenue from gambling. That's right, 37% of their revenue from gambling, which means that they make a lot of money from other places that we'll talk about. Now, Vegas did indeed used to be only for gambling. That's why it was there. And this number, the revenue from casinos, from gambling, has actually been declining significantly. Just 20 years ago, like 1999, 22 years ago, it was 50% of casinos and hotels revenue came from gambling. So you can see just in about 20 years, it's gone from 50 to 37%. So what makes up for that loss of gambling revenue? Well, higher room rates, more expensive restaurants, more expensive shows, more expensive drinks at the nightclubs, and of course, fees. The fees that we all love to hate, the resort fees, the parking fees. That's where they're making up for all of those gambling losses. And sometimes people say to me, Chris, how is that possible? Because like if you look at total gambling in Las Vegas, it keeps going up, but more and more money keeps being made in Vegas, and there's more casinos and there's more hotels, so there's more of that pie that they need to get. The second myth that many people believe about Las Vegas is that Las Vegas is cheap. I consistently get people who comment on my videos, especially the one I did about how much it costs to go to Vegas for 3 days, saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe how expensive Las Vegas is. What happened to the Las Vegas with the 99-cent shrimp cocktails and the $5 steak dinner and the $10 buffets? That Vegas is no longer here anymore. Las Vegas today is actually a pretty expensive destination. It is certainly still possible to do it cheap, but I would not consider Vegas to be a cheap destination, particularly if you're hanging out on the Las Vegas Strip. Those $6 bottles of water add up pretty quickly, as do the buffets. You know, the most popular buffet right now in Las Vegas is the Bacchanal buffet at Caesar's Palace, which is nearly $80 for a meal. Why are things so expensive? Why are casinos no longer cheap? Well, see point one about Las Vegas not being a gambling town anymore. With less money being earned from gambling, the casinos and hotels have to make that revenue up other places, and they are no longer willing to offer loss leader type items. This is why so many buffets in Las Vegas have closed, because they cost the hotels money to run the buffets because they priced them so cheap, and they had the buffets to bring people in so that they would gamble. But since that's not happening now, the casinos and resorts are like, well, you know what, this buffet's got to make money, so that's how the Bacchanal buffet becomes $80 a meal. Myth number 3, that the penny slots cost 1 cent to play. You know what? And maybe they did when they first rolled out, but boy, penny slots haven't cost a penny for quite a long time. Why are they called penny slots? Well, you know, the way penny slots work is you put in some money. They don't even accept pennies anymore. You couldn't put a penny in a penny slot if you want to, right? It takes $1, $5, $20, and then you get credits equal to the number of pennies. But then to play the penny slots, many of them have a minimum bet of 25 pennies, 50 pennies, 75 pennies. So you're like, is this a penny slot? Or is this actually more expensive than the quarter slots, the 25-cent slots. So I feel like the penny slots are a phrase that should just really no longer be used for Las Vegas. In the live chat, Brandon Torres says, it is called the entertainment capital of the world for a reason. For sure, there's a lot of entertainment that's there as opposed to the gambling capital of the world. Now, related to cheap eats, Garrett says, the California hotel food tastes good. California hotel, downtown Las Vegas. Downtown Las Vegas is definitely where you'll find a lot of the bargains. California hotel, really popular. People from Hawaii actually has some pretty good oxtail soup and things like that. And Norma points out, yes, and if you play max coins on penny slots, like one bet on the penny slot can be $5, $7.50 on a penny slot. What happened to these penny slots? Now, if you're like me or OC Girl, we still go to the penny slots and do the minimum bets. We try to find the ones that maybe the minimum bets are 20 cents and we can make $20 last for, 15 or 20 minutes doing the minimum bet on the penny slots. Point Traveler wants to know if you still get free drinks at the casinos if you're gambling. You certainly still do, although I would say they're being a little bit stingier about it than they used to. But you know what? It just makes good business sense to provide people alcohol for free because they might not worry about the money that they're gambling after they've had quite a few drinks. Myth number 4, that if a jackpot hasn't been hit on a slot machine for a while, that it's due. Or that if the roulette wheel has hit red 3 times, now it is more likely to hit black. This is called the gambler's fallacy, and it's basically a perspective that people have that if something hasn't happened for a while, it is now more likely to happen because it hasn't happened for a while. And why am I talking about this myth here? Well, because there are betting systems that you could read about, that people even sell you to talk about, not card counting, but things like, play roulette and, place $1 on the roulette wheel. And then if you've seen it hit one color 3 times, then, $10 on that other color. And that is nothing more than superstition. People who are statistics heads, mathematicians will tell you that in the world of gambling and probability, any of these events, winning a jackpot, hitting red, double zeros, is just as likely to happen on this play as it is for any other plays. It is just as likely for that slot machine to hit the jackpot twice in a row as it is to hit it 2 years separate. And Twitting Sarah just says the same thing. It's all random. A jackpot can hit if it's recently hit 2, for sure. Now, the one where you might say, well, Chris, I actually want to play the slot machines where the jackpot hasn't been hit for a while. On the ones that have the progressive jackpots, in that case, you probably do want to play it when it hasn't been hit for a while because the value is higher, but that has nothing to do with it actually being more likely to hit. This is the same thing about warm machines or hot machines and cold machines. One machine is no more likely to pay out than the other. And, my background's in computer science, so I know all this stuff. Will I still have that same superstition when I sit at the slot machine and go like, you know what, this machine hits, I've been winning a lot from this machine. Why would I go play the other one? But just as likely to win on any of them. Number 5 myth is that Las Vegas is always hot. This is one that surprises a lot of people, particularly people who have maybe visited once in the summer where Las Vegas is deathly hot, and then they visit in December, and they brought the same clothes that they wore in the summer because it's a desert. And if you've ever visited Las Vegas in the December, you will know that the desert in December is cold. It's really cold. It's really cold. It's really windy. How cold does it get? Actually, the nighttime lows in Las Vegas get in the 30 Fahrenheit, which is like 0 Celsius. It gets below freezing some points, and it actually has snowed in Vegas. More so in recent years. I guess that's the global warming thing that we talk about. Maybe like weather change is better than global warming because it never seems like it's warmer when it's snowing. But Las Vegas has snowed more recently enough that it actually would stick on the ground when it got there. Yep, you might not have believed it, but it was true. So if you go to Las Vegas in the winter, definitely bring yourself some long sleeves, a thick jacket, good fleece, something to block the wind because that desert wind cuts right to the bones. Myth number 6. This is the opposite of cold. This is hot. Many people will say, and you've probably heard this phrase, you know what, it's okay that it's hot in Las Vegas because it's a dry heat. It is so hot. I've been to humid heat places. Bangkok, Singapore, they're humid. It sucks when it's that hot and that humid. But let me tell you, the dry 120-degree heat in Las Vegas, you're going to feel that too. And you're not going to want to be outside in it for very long at all, unless you're in the pool. And even if you're in the pool, you probably want to be in the side of the pool where there's some shade, because that is darn hot. Though that is a good thing about Vegas, is there's so many casinos and air-conditioned spaces that on those hot summer days, you probably just spend most of your time going outdoors for just a little bit to then get back in again to the casino, so you don't have to spend much time in the outside air. Though I will say, going in the summer when it's so hot, I feel like then inside they crank the air conditioning up even more. And so for people like me, then I need to like go outside every hour just to kind of like thaw out. I want to wear a jacket in the casino sometimes in the summer. It's so cold, but then I don't want to carry the thing around because it's ridiculous. So instead, I just thaw out. Brenda says, I heard October is the best month to go. October is definitely a good weather month. One of the good things about going in October, particularly if you like the pools, that most of the pools are still open. By the time you get to November, it's dicey as to whether the pools are open or not. December, most of the pools are closed. So if you like pools, definitely make sure you go in the hot summer season, October probably being the last shoulder part of it. Brandon says, I prefer dry heat to humid heat, but not past 100 degrees. All right, well, if beggars can be choosers, right? If I can choose a dry heat and not past 100, that's pretty good. Now, I will say the nice thing about the dry heat is your clothes don't get soaked. You don't feel drenched in sweat because it comes out and then it just evaporates. Humid heat like Bangkok or Singapore, you get so sticky. When we were in Bangkok at the Royal Palace, super hot day, it was like 90 some and humid. And I remember I was so hot, my shins were sweating. You know that part of your leg, the shin, the front part? I had shin sweat. You know, when you have shin sweat, that's when you know it is really hot. Crayon Dude says, how much does the average Las Vegas household pay for electricity in the summer? Well, you know what? If there are any people who use their electricity a lot and live in Las Vegas on this live stream right now, I would love for you to help Crayon Dude answer. The electricity there, definitely cheaper because of the Hoover Dam and all those things as it is perhaps in California or other places. So it makes it easier for them to run the AC. But yeah, that's definitely what they're going to be doing. And Kevin says, I, for one, like the heat. Great for sweating some of the fat from the buffets. That's a good way to look at it, too. If you do the buffets, you definitely need to be walking around. And Mustache Dave says, Rainy, you've been getting some sun. Keep up the great work. I like to go to the beach. What can I say? We've been doing a lot of hiking, getting out quite a bit, even in the winter. By the way, what do people like about my shirt today? I wore this especially for you. I'm trying to break out of the same shirt that I wear every time and wear something festive for the live streams. You've seen me in my maybe American flag shirts and my American stream, so I wanted to get something that I thought was reminiscent of Vegas and gambling. So what do you think of this nice yellow and black fine Las Vegas shirt? And Jay has one more point about Bangkok, which I found Bangkok to be really hot even at night. Yeah, it is. And that's also one of the big differences that people don't realize about Las Vegas, thanks for reminding me of this, Jay, is that people don't realize how big of a temperature swing there can be from the daytime to the nighttime. There can easily be a 30-degree Fahrenheit temperature swing. You know, it can be 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the daytime and 30 degrees Fahrenheit at nighttime once the sun sets. And so when you go in kind of those swing months, October, November, you could totally be outside in the daytime in shorts and t-shirt, and then at nighttime need long pants and a jacket. Kevin says, I lost some weight. Go on with your bad self. I think this shirt which is because it's bigger, maybe might give you that myth. Here we go. Says the biggest myth is that the Strip is safer than downtown. Yeah, it's Vegas. Downtown's pretty safe, though. I think what gives people that perspective is there just maybe appear to be more unhoused people that are sort of occupying Fremont Street downtown. I think if you're around Fremont Street, there's so much security and so much police. That's all pretty cool. Certainly if you go downtown, like ways off of Fremont Street, then gets a little sketchier, but I would say the same thing about the Strip. You get ways off the Strip in a certain direction, and it gets sketchy too. Dunk says, I look like Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men. All right, hopefully that's a good thing. Hopefully you liked Charlie Sheen. MK wants to know, what's the best buffet in town? Many people regard the Bacchanal buffet as the best because it's the most expensive. I like Wicked Spoon the best. Wicked Spoon at the Cosmopolitan is currently my favorite in Vegas. The 7th biggest myth and misconception for people going to Las Vegas is that summertime is the slow season. It must be because it's so hot. Who on earth would want to go to Las Vegas in the summer? Like, who would want to go to the 7th level of hell or something like that, because that's how hot it is. And it is not slow at all. There are a lot of people that want to go to Las Vegas in the summer because they want to go to the pools, they want to experience the heat, they want to work off their buffet fat. And so if you're thinking that's the slow season, you're going to find you'll be there with everybody else that thought it was the slow season, and it's not. This is just kind of like the myth where people say the best time to go to Disneyland is Super Bowl Sunday. Spoiler alert, it's not. Everybody's got that message, and so everybody goes on Super Bowl Sunday. I feel like Super Bowl Sunday is often busier than the Sunday before because so many people thought it would be not busy that it turns out to be super busy. If you want to know when the slow season to go to Las Vegas is, consider going in December. As a matter of fact, in the cold season, my favorite time, I go every year in December, kind of the 2 weeks in the middle of December, right before Christmas. Nobody's traveling to Vegas. People are buying their gifts, they're doing their Christmas shopping, and then they go to Vegas between Christmas and New Year's. So that time gets really busy. Maybe like the 2 days after Christmas are still pretty good, but by about December 28th, the room rates are, 6 or 7 times of what they typically are. So if you want to be you want to have the Strip all to yourself, consider, December 10th to about Christmas time. Sarah says, I like to go in January, February because I love the ice rink at the Cosmopolitan and all the winter decorations. Vegas goes all out for the kind of winter season, Christmas holidays, and the ice rink at the Cosmopolitan on I think it was like it's probably the 5th floor. The floors are huge, right? So on we'll call it the lower rooftop overlooking the Strip, there's usually a swimming pool called the Boulevard Pool, and in the winter they cover up that pool and turn it into an ice rink, which is pretty neat. You can actually ice skate on the Las Vegas Strip. If you want to see that, I have a whole video about visiting Las Vegas in the winter or Christmas that you can check out, and you can see what that ice rink itself looks like. Crown Dude says, are the Strip hotels cheaper in December? Significantly cheaper in December because their occupancy is just way, way lower. And just to give you an example, when I was in Vegas this past December, I stayed at Resorts World on the Strip at the Conrad Hotel for like $110, $120, which is like half of what their room rates typically are, or even less than half. Myth number 8. You've heard this one before. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It used to be Vegas's motto. And if it was ever true in the past, it is so not true now. You know what happens to what goes on in Vegas? What goes on in Vegas goes on TikTok, it goes on Facebook, it goes on Instagram, it gets sent by Messenger, and it gets sent by Snapchat. What goes on in Vegas definitely does not stay in Vegas. All your friends, like if you do something super crazy or super drunk, all your friends back home are going to know about it really soon. Now, an interesting trend in this is actually there are some restaurants, bars, clubs that no longer allow photography or videography. One in particular is the Mayfair Supper Club at the Wynn Hotel. And the Mayfair Supper Club, that's their policy. No photography or videography, period. Why? Well, some might say they want you to be in the moment. They don't want you to be taking pictures. Chris's hypothesis, and this is only an opinion, it's not fact, I don't know this to be true. My hypothesis is that they have guests that are there, maybe with their, maybe with a side person that they don't want their main person to know about, and so they don't want those pictures of who they're actually eating dinner with to get out to others. Again, just a hypothesis. You know, there was one hotel Osigirl and I stayed at in Seoul, South Korea, where I was shooting some video of the breakfast buffet, of like the bananas and the strawberries, and then I guess the manager comes over to be like, "Sir, I'm sorry, we don't allow video in the restaurant for the privacy of our guests." I'm like, I am taking video of the bananas. Yeah, I'm sorry. So apparently this hotel actually gets a lot of K-pop stars. When the K-pop stars are there, then they're mobbed by cameras. Anyway, I feel like it was one of those applications of the rule that was sort of ridiculous. And I feel like some of these restaurants in Vegas are going that way. Yeah, Joshua says Virgin is bad about running vloggers out of the building. I've heard there are definitely some of those hotels that are like no cameras, and then there's like Resorts World, which is like bring it on, bring your cameras. Oh, and Ronnie corrects me. Mayfair's at the Bellagio, Delilah is at the Wynn. Thank you, Ronnie. Sometimes when I do these live, my brain doesn't function correctly. I was picturing Delilah at the Wynn, and I said Mayfair. Norma says, what are you drinking today? Chris, all right, what am I drinking today? I figured I was doing a video about the desert, so this is actually, now it says Cali water, but it is, here, let me focus on this. It is, no, there we go. It is cactus water, organic prickly pear. Maybe it's not gonna focus on it. Too close. All right, well, what is in this thing? What's in this thing? It says back here, water, organic blue agave, lemon juice, raspberry juice concentrate, prickly pear powder, and organic monk fruit extract. Now I know what a cactus tastes like. How do I describe this? I don't know. It tastes a little bit like a watered down Red Bull. That's what I'd say it would taste like. I was expecting it to be fizzy, although I guess since it just says water and it doesn't say sparkling, that's probably why it is not fizzy. And Meritocratic Family says slime. No, it's the same consistency as just normal water. Is it colored? No, it's clear. So not like maybe some energy drinks. It's refreshing taste and rare antioxidants from a cactus. Well, maybe later I'm going to be a little bit prickly. All My World dropped in. Hi, All My World. Welcome to the live stream. Okay. Number 9. Myth is that everything to see in Las Vegas is on the Las Vegas Strip. Oh, yeah, I'll turn this around. There we go. You know, there is so much more to see in Las Vegas beyond the Strip. First of all, downtown Las Vegas, the Fremont Street experience is pretty amazing with the Viva Vision big screen on top. If you've never been downtown Vegas to see that, it is worth a trip down there just to see that screen. Go at nighttime so you can see the nighttime shows that they do every hour. The fire-breathing mantis downtown is pretty amazing. At the Container Park little shopping center, there's the statue of a praying mantis made out of metal that breathes fire every 15 minutes. One of my new favorite attractions in Las Vegas is Area 15. It is this kind of like immersive mall of a place. It is located across the freeway from the Las Vegas Strip. Omega Mart is there. If you haven't caught my video on that, you can check that. My Omega Mart walking tour, definitely my new favorite attraction in Las Vegas, opened in the past year or so. And outside of Vegas, there's Red Rock Canyon, there's the Hoover Dam, so there's tons to see kind of 20, 30 minutes away from the Las Vegas Strip. Big Wet Burrito agrees with me about Red Rock Canyon. Crayon Dude likes my video on the Pinball Museum. That's great to hear, Crayon Dude. That video did so much better than I thought it would do. I like my walkthrough of the Pinball Hall of Fame Museum has gone on to have like nearly 100,000 views, which I think is super cool that there are so many people that are into pinball to watch that video, and I hope people who watch it, just go and support that place because I think it's pretty awesome. If you didn't catch my video on the Pinball Hall of Fame Museum and you like pinball, they moved in Vegas. They used to be like a couple miles off the Strip. Now they're right on the Las Vegas Strip, kitty corner from the Mandalay Bay. Huge, great place for all the little pinheads. All My World says, I got a trip to Vegas for the second trip, end of May. Got my reservations for Area 15. Good. Maybe Omega Mart, if you're going to go there, get the reservations for that too, not just to go into the mall. CC points out the 7 Magic Mountains, which are these really neat rocks that are painted in different bright primary colors. And those are cool too. They're free to go in. They're great to see if you're driving from California to Vegas on the Interstate 15 or you're leaving. That's when you would want to see those. Myth number 10 is that the shows in Las Vegas are only for has-been or washed-up stars of yesterday or yesteryear. This is another one that it might have been the case. Those might have been the people who played in Las Vegas, but today Las Vegas is definitely home to A-list stars. In 2022 alone, some of the people playing in Las Vegas, Adele, the Korean sensation BTS is there right now, taking over Las Vegas. That's like the biggest boy band there is. Aerosmith, John Legend. If you like opera, Andrea Bocelli. Justin Bieber is playing in Las Vegas. And yes, you can even see some classic stars like Barry Manilow, Sting, Shania Twain. New Kids on the Block this year. Chris, isn't New Kids on the Block? How old are New Kids on the Block now? Aren't they probably washed up from yesterday? Yes, but you know what? You can see some stars from yesteryear that you can't see anywhere else because Vegas is about the only place they can assemble enough people to sell tickets that, like, if they go to any other city, there's not enough fans in any city, but so many people are willing to come to Vegas to see concerts just for that reason that a lot of these stars can make it work when they maybe are the stars of yesteryear that you might still like. And my favorite, Weird Al Yankovic, is going to be playing at Las Vegas later this summer. Myth number 11, that Las Vegas is an adults-only destination. Kind of like the gambling one, this is one that has had its ups and downs. Vegas has been more family-friendly and less family-friendly. But if you just look at some of the hotels, the Circus with its circus shows, the Excalibur, designed for kids, the Luxor, almost designed for kids. There are a lot of things for kids in Las Vegas. And so it is definitely a family destination. Now you might think to yourself, well, but Chris, there's all these vans about girls, so I don't want my kids to see that. Look, that's up to you about what you want to show them or where you want to walk with them, but Vegas definitely does market itself as a family destination because there's many attractions for families. And if you like swimming pools, because people often ask me, Chris, where's the best swimming pool, Las Vegas? I think the best one for kids is at the Mandalay Bay. I'll say bigger kids, maybe in the, if you've got like teens or tweens or something like that. Mandalay Bay has a really big and awesome wave pool. Now, rumor has it that Resorts World on the Las Vegas Strip may be building an even bigger wave pool than Mandalay Bay has. And if that's the case, I'm really looking forward to that. When I was staying at Resorts World just recently, looking out my hotel room window, I could see this area where they're definitely building a lot of stuff. And most Resorts World hotels around the world have kind of big, I wouldn't call it a water park, but definitely have like a really big, fun pool area, not just one for sitting around the pool and having drinks. Sarah says, isn't Weird Al coming to SoCal too? He is, and I've actually got tickets to see him when he comes to San Diego. So, by the way, if any of you are going to go see Weird Al Yankovic in San Diego, you can see me and my dad, Electric Rick, there when Weird Al comes to San Diego. Crayon Dude wants to know if all the strip hotels are full of smokers. I feel like less and less. Like if you want to know where all the smokers are, they're in downtown Vegas. That's where all the smokers are. Park MGM, no smoking hotel. That's a new trend. More places are going fully non-smoking in Vegas. When I go around the strip, I don't feel that there's a lot of smoke, also just because a lot of the air conditioning and filtration systems in the big strip hotels are pretty good. Chris says, just don't get a photo with the fake Mickey Mouse on the strip. He wants your money. This is probably a myth that I didn't include on this list, but it is one. And the myth is that those people that are out there dressed up as Mickey Mouse or Batman work for the hotels and they're there to take pictures with you for free. They want your money when you take a picture, and they're pretty aggressive about getting it. If you thought you were going to get it for free, or even if you thought you were going to get it for $1, they'd be like, where's my $20? Which is like, you are cray-cray, son. And they kind of like all work together. So, you know, Mickey Mouse might be working with Batman and Daffy and the Showgirls, and pretty soon if you don't pay, you got like a mob of all these characters right around. Janelle asks if Electric Rick is back to good health. Thanks for asking, Janelle. He had his 6-week checkup on his broken collarbone today. Actually, I'm still looking forward to hearing the feedback on that. Hopefully it's a positive one. And Who's That Girl says, my favorite Weird Al parody is Amish Paradise. I like that one too. I will spare you from singing it today, but I've been known to karaoke Amish Paradise. The 12th myth or misconception about going to Vegas is that you can drink alcohol anywhere in Las Vegas. Okay, you can drink alcohol a lot of places in Las Vegas, but not anywhere. Chris, where? Well, you cannot drink alcohol within 1,000 feet of a church, 1,000 feet of a school, or 1,000 feet of a homeless shelter. Okay, Chris, can I drink alcohol anywhere on the Las Vegas Strip or anywhere in downtown Las Vegas? Pretty much. The exception is that you need to be drinking it in a plastic container. You cannot have a glass or a glass bottle because they break and they cause a nuisance. And so most hotels, particularly downtown, will have plastic cups actually right by the door, so that if you have a glass alcoholic drink, you can take one of the plastic cups by the door, pour your drink in there, leave the glass cup by the door, and take your plastic cup with you. If you're one of the strip hotels that doesn't have these plastic cup dispensers at any of the bars or things like that, just ask them for a plastic cup to transfer your drink in, and they'll have a whole bunch of them. They won't be looking at you weird about why you want one, because they know that that's what people do. Kathy has joined us. Kathy, are you in Hawaii right now or on your way? And she says, I've had a haircut. I did have a haircut. I used the Flowbee just this past weekend. And the Uniplex says, glad to see you're in Hawaii. So yes, Kathy said, Chris, yes, aloha from Hawaii. Well, thanks for joining in while you're there in paradise. And Alex says, I'm pretty sure there is that karaoke video. I showed it in one of my previous live streams. Nick Seabright says, what about within 1,000 feet of the Elvis wedding church? You know what? You might want to be drinking within 1,000 feet of the Elvis wedding church. Myth number 13. Many people believe that prostitution is legal in Las Vegas, and you might think so by the number of porn card slappers and the trucks that go by that say girls direct to your room. But it is not. Prostitution is not legal within Clark County. Clark County is the county that Las Vegas is in. Now, Nevada does have legalized prostitution, and there are 2 brothels that both claim to be closest to the Las Vegas Strip. Which are those? They're the Chicken Ranch and Sherry's Ranch. They're basically next door to each other, about an hour drive west of Las Vegas, and there are 20 others in the state. Chris, how do you know this? I looked it up in preparing this one. Chris, have you been there? I have no comments about that. I won't be making any more videos, because you know what? We're just not going there. All right. Number 14 is that the Strip is a den of inequity because everything you see is, right? Everything's debauchery. It's a party all the time. And this is a quote that I saw from someone on, like TripAdvisor or Reddit, where they were talking about what they actually saw when they were walking down the Strip. They said, what we actually saw in August was a seething mass of generally ugly, hot, sticky people in cutoffs with beer bellies and tattoos hanging out, with dirty white sneakers and pale, hairy legs standing in the middle of the pavement with strollers. I hope they're not talking about me. I don't have the tattoos, but, I might be pushing a stroller when we're there. And yes, it's like, a subsection of Americana in the world when you're in Las Vegas. It is not just entirely showgirls walking down the Las Vegas Strip all the time. But this ties into myth and misconception number 15, is that the people who live in Las Vegas, those people who live there, they must party all the time. Not just the Strip is a party all the time, but that the people who live there party all the time, because Las Vegas is just a 24/7 party, right? And, while I'm sure there are some people who move to Vegas to party, and I've actually talked to a number of Vegas YouTubers, and they said one of the reasons why they moved there was they wanted to party. They wanted that lifestyle. But then they quickly realized that you can't really be productive or have a job and like live that partying lifestyle all the time. The drinking, smoking 24/7 and the clubs quickly wears away any ability that you might have to work and earn a living, unless you're like independently wealthy. And in that case, that's a whole different story. But it actually turns out that people who live in Vegas, most of them have real jobs and don't drink or gamble all that much. And if they did drink or gamble all that much, then likely, they gamble and drink away all their money. Turns out many of them don't. And many people who live in Vegas actually avoid the Strip altogether. If you talk to Las Vegas locals and say, hey, how often do you go to the Strip? For most of them, it is very rarely. Or again, the point of like, Chris, I actually try to avoid it because it's such a traffic snarl or traffic nightmare. Yeah, in Tall Pines says, and guests probably invite themselves to stay with those in Vegas. That's true. I will tell you, as someone who grew up in San Diego, that's definitely another place where all your friends want to invite themselves to your house. Brandon says Vegas has constant energy and it's very impossible to keep up depending upon the person. Vegas does do that to you. It'll make you want to stay out longer, later, keep going, and just kind of like really sap the energy out of people. CC says, I do feel that when nightclubs closed, the trips were less wild. For sure. Without the places, sure, you can drink all night at the casino or things like that, but it's not quite the same as if you're in one of those clubs that has the lights and the music, and it's a place that makes you just want to stay there for longer. And Jeff says, yeah, off the Strip, it's like a regular Americana suburbia, maybe a little hotter and drier, but yeah, for sure. And Booba gives a tip to say the Aria Express tram, which runs from the Aria Bellagio and Park MGM, continues to be free of fees, not a myth. All right, thank you for that tip, Booba. And that is one of my kind of favorite, almost like little secret transportation things a lot of people don't know about. If you're trying to get from the Park MGM to the Bellagio, easiest way is to take this tram that runs behind them. Chemist Street Doctor says, my wife needs a vacation after vacationing with me. Sometimes we feel that way when we do our really, I'll call it more down to business YouTube video creation trips, where we're our California Central Valley trip. I almost felt like we needed a vacation after that one because we made 8 videos in 6 days, and we had some early starts and some late nights. But looking back on the end, it was all worth it, and just one of those memories we'll have for a long time. But we also like the trips where we just kind of hang out and relax, hang out by the pool. Those where Kathy is in Hawaii, we enjoy those well. But I think we have the kind of personality that we can only hang out at the beach for so long. Maybe a short morning. A couple hours at the beach, and after that we're okay, is there something else for us to do? Because I'm bored of sitting here on the beach. Joshua says, I'm an early to bed and early riser in Vegas, coming from the Central time. I can see that. And you know what? I kind of like walking around Vegas in the morning because it's almost devoid of life. It's so peaceful in the morning. Ricardo says, someday I'll be returning to Vegas with friends, playing and exploring bucket list must. I am sure you will be back. Myth number 16 is that the locals in Las Vegas live in hotels. Chris, do people really believe that locals in Las Vegas live in hotels? I've heard this one from a number of Las Vegas locals, that when they meet people on the Strip, those people will often ask them, so what hotel do you live in? I don't live in a hotel. I live in a house or an apartment or a townhome. Yeah, the people who live in Vegas live in normal housing accommodations just like the rest of us. None of them have permanent residence in the Luxor. Myth number 17 is that the casino host is just there to give out free stuff. The casino host, they're actually there to sell the casino. The host, many of you may not have met a casino host, though many of you here, if you gamble a lot, or even a reasonable amount, may have, the people who gamble a lot, they'll have a casino host with them to help show them around, to give them free things, but to comp their rooms, to comp their meals, to bring them food. At like Resorts World, the casino host will do that. At Resorts World, the casino host, if they're with a big whale, they'll be playing, the casino host will go get them food from the food court and bring it to them so they have their food. But the casino host is not actually there to give out free stuff. The casino hosts are actually considered in sales positions. They're considered sales. They are there to drive more revenue, to sell more services of the casino to the people with a lot of money, even if it means those services are gambling. And yes, they might give out free things to make it more comfortable, but their reason for being is not just to give out comps. And a lot of people see the casino host as the person to go complain to, because I know you're the person that has the power to give out free stuff, but that is not actually their function. Myth number 18 is that Las Vegas is dirty, as in unclean, as in filthy, not as in dirty as in girls direct to your room, right? But as in like people don't like broom or sweep it. And you know what? Sure, Vegas is dirtier than Disneyland, but for a place that gets so many visitors, I actually think it's quite clean. The Las Vegas Strip and downtown Las Vegas are so much cleaner than downtown Los Angeles, let me tell you. Particularly the bathrooms and casinos. I love the bathrooms and casinos. One of the things I love about going to Vegas is I never have to worry about where is Chris going to find a clean restroom, because clean restrooms are just everywhere. They're just a given. Like anywhere you go on the Strip, you're no more than like a 3-minute walk from a super clean and nice restroom. Now, on the dirty front, Vegas does have an issue with their unhoused population. The 2021 estimate in Clark County, the county that Vegas is in, is that there were 5,000 people experiencing homelessness on any given day in 2021 in Clark County. Some of those, they live on the streets. Some live in the tunnels underneath Las Vegas. If you haven't heard about this or seen this, Las Vegas has a huge network of stormwater tunnels underneath the Strip and major parts of the city, because in January and February, when there are rains, desert doesn't sink in water very well, and so there's actually a lot of rain that comes for like 2 months of the year. I mean, a lot for a desert. So they built these tunnels to take the water away, but the other 10 months of the year, they're relatively dry, and so there's many people that actually make their residence down there. You know, underneath these billion-dollar casinos, there's actually a grimy underworld, kind of like a very dystopian movie. Like the Uniplex asks if I've ever felt unsafe in Vegas. On the Strip, generally no. And we go generally. When is the time that you might? You know, when it's not busy. On the bridges between the hotels, like the things you have to cross, sometimes there's like weird people on those bridges, and you're like, there's only one exit on either side. So that's what, but of course, like I know that there's a lot of cameras and all these sorts of things, and there's probably nothing going to happen. The other time, actually on this last trip in December when I was in downtown Vegas, just because there were less tourists, the street people just seemed like there were so many more of them. I mean, there probably weren't, but I also felt like, you know, as a vlogger, if I'm out there, I'm attracting a lot of attention, and so I'm like, I don't know that that's the attention that I want. I need to make sure I like watch my stuff at the same time as I do this. And Norma says, I think it can become unsafe if you drink too much. I think it can. That's probably the most unsafe time. I think if you're not drinking and you're just paying attention to yourself, I think Vegas is probably one of the safest destinations you could go to. The, you know, violent crimes on the Strip really low. There's so many security guards, theft, those things. You know, and if you're really kind of paranoid about it, just stay out of the public areas all that much and stay in the hotels, because then you're guarded by the hotel security, and I feel like inside any of the complexes, it's super duper safe. 19 myth is that there's no culture in Las Vegas. And I think that when people say this, they're like, well, there's no opera. Although I just told you there's a really famous opera singer going to Vegas. There's no Renoir paintings, or there's no classic art. There's no Guggenheim Museum. And it's not to say that there's not museums. There are. But there's a culture of a different sort. It's its own Vegas desert entertainment capital of the world culture. There's the Mob Museum, where you can learn all about how the mob got started, how the mob helped found a lot of the casinos in Vegas. There's the Neon Museum, where you can see all the cool old neon lights kind of archived in one place. There's the National Atomic Testing Museum that's actually affiliated to the Smithsonian. And then at Area 15, this place called Omega Mart. It is a museum of itself, just a museum of a different kind. So I think Vegas actually does have quite a bit of culture, just its own. Myth number 20 is that it's the desert, so there must be snakes and scorpions everywhere, because those things just live in every desert. And I've been to Vegas a gazillion and a half times, and I have yet to see a snake or a scorpion in my travels in Vegas. Not to say that they don't exist outside. If you're in Red Rock Canyon or something like that, that's the wilderness. You see wild animals in the wilderness. But the Las Vegas Strip, downtown Vegas, those places have been city life for so long that you're not going to find any of those creepy, crawly critters there. And myth number 21, blackjack, is that it's all fast food and buffets. That's all Las Vegas is. There's no good food there because it's all fast food or buffets, or it's cheap food. And you know what? There's actually some really legit good food in Vegas. There's a ton of celebrity chef restaurants. People like those. I'm less a fan of celebrity chef restaurants because I feel like you're paying for the name. But there's actually some really solid Asian eats in Las Vegas, particularly in Chinatown. There's a Thai place that I love. There's really good barbecue, really good Peking duck. And so you can find really good food in Las Vegas. You have to look a little bit for it, because it's not going to be the place that's right on the strip or right as you walk in the hotel. In the Venetian, one of the highest ended restaurants in there is Bouchon, and it is like you have to know what elevator to take and go up to a floor in the middle of the hotel, and you get out of that elevator and all that's there is the restaurant, and that's where you're going to find some of the best food. Seek it out. Watch some of my videos. Check out Yelp. See what the places are that have the best reviews. And take a look. I think like looking at Yelp, if you're looking at restaurants, is also to look at how many of the people rate it highly just because it serves alcohol, and how many people rate it because it has really good food. And so I really like to look at the ratio of pictures of alcoholic drinks to food, and make sure it's a place that has more food than alcoholic beverages, because then people actually like the food rather than just the drinks.
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
All right, fellow explorers, it's now Q&A time. If you asked a question earlier and I didn't answer it, now's your time to ask it again. Or if you hadn't asked it yet, put in the chat right now. Make sure you have a question mark afterwards. And after we take a little bit of questions, as usual, I'm going to give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt. Sahil says, do I need a rental car to go off strip? You don't need one. There's plenty of Uber and Lyft and things like that. But if you're going to go to some place like Red Rock Canyon or Hoover Dam, you will want a rental car. Chris, generally get a rental car most times, or I drive in from California, so I generally have a car. There's Brian says, I didn't see snakes or scorpions, but I did see roaches and rats. City life, that's what you'll see. Terry says, we did see rattlesnakes in Red Rock Canyon in nature places. I could totally see that. Sahil says, pancakes for dinner. Sounds pretty good. Alan says, additional myth is that every single place and thing is open 24/7. You will find, while all the big casinos are open 24/7, the stuff in them isn't. So as much as people say Vegas is a 24/7 town, it's really not. AJ says, what is your favorite place to go in Vegas? I don't know. I have a lot of favorite places to go in Vegas. My new favorite hotel is definitely Resorts World. I really like that place. I really like the food courts that's there because I really like Asian food. Do I have one spot that I like to go to every time? My one spot that I love to go to take selfies is Caesar's Palace. And it's the intersection of Caesar's Palace where it like butts up in the corner to the Las Vegas Strip, where you can see it's like Bally's or Harrah's in the Paris kitty corner from it. That's a great place to take a selfie because they've got really great lights on you, and so your face is lit up. So a lot of my thumbnails are actually taken at that spot. Peter says, is Hoover Dam really worth a visit, or is it overrated? I mean, probably not on your first trip to Las Vegas, but if you're on your like third or fourth trip and you're looking for things to do outside, then yes, it's worth a visit. Coaster Passport asks if I've ridden any of the roller coasters in Vegas. I have ridden the one at the New York Hotel, which was pretty fun, though a bit bumpy. Antonio says, are there any new buffets to visit? What's the best taco shop? Tacos El Gordo. Of the taco shops I've had in Las Vegas, Tacos El Gordo's my favorite. As a California boy, I don't eat that many taco shops in Vegas because I feel like they're better here, but Tacos El Gordo's pretty legit. New buffets, they're all like, there haven't been any new that have opened in the last couple of years because of COVID and the pandemic. The top ones are Caesar's Palace, the Bellagio, the Wynn, the Cosmopolitan. That's what I would consider to be the top four. Ricardo says, is it possible spending Vegas weekdays during the summer, less crowds, cheaper price? For sure. Vegas is, I shouldn't say almost always cheaper during weekdays. You need to check the convention calendar, but I expect if you go this summer in particular, there still aren't going to be a lot of conventions in town, and so you'll find weekdays to be pretty inexpensive. Wu Tai says, I'll watch more later when I'm on break. Thanks, Wu Tai, for joining in. My favorite pool is the pool at the Mandalay Bay. Rami asks if there's anything better than In-N-Out in Vegas or burgers. Shake Shack is pretty good too, but In-N-Out is pretty good as well.
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, it is time for a giveaway. And if you want to win a Yellow Productions Crew shirt that I will ship to you anywhere in the world, you have to answer my question. And my question is, what Weird Al song am I known to karaoke? If you answer that question correctly, I will send you a shirt. While we're waiting for answers, Ron says, what do you think of the El Cortez going 21 and over? I think it's a trend downtown that Circa started, and I think it's mostly to keep out the homeless population downtown because you have to show an ID to get in, and it just keeps out the people who don't really want to get in. So that's why I think the El Cortez is doing it. AJ says, what's the best hotel to stay at? I've got a number of videos about best hotels, best cheap hotels, best luxury hotels. So search Yellow Productions Best Hotels in Las Vegas, and you'll find a couple videos on that topic.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
Panjo, congratulations. The Weird Al song that I am known to karaoke is Amish Paradise. Panjo, send me an email to chris@yellow-productions.com and I will get you a Yellow Productions shirt right over there. Let me know your size and address. If you didn't win one and you want to buy one, you can pick one up at shop.yellow-productions.com. And if you want to know, Chris, when is the next live stream, head over to update.yellow-productions.com. Join the Yellow Productions email list. You'll find a link to that in the description below, but I will send you an email a day or two before every live stream. You'll know the subject, you'll know the time, so you never miss one of these in the future. Well, fellow explorers, it's great hanging out with you today, and if I don't say goodbye, if I don't see you between now and next week, then